Welcome to another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week, iconic guitarist Slash Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators have a new DVD live at the Roxy. Last year they had World on Fire, and I spoke to Slash about those two things, but also his new horror movie, The Hell Within, that he's currently working on. Um, Joining me as my co-host and heavy Montreal Festival compatriot, I guess is the word for it. Mark
Yeah.
Strigl. Good day, sir.
Co-correspondent, right? Yeah.
Co-correspondent. What a great time that was.
Oh, it was so much fun, and I mean, we literally got hundreds of pictures posted as the festival was going on. I think it was like 10 between one on one and talking metal. I think like 10 podcasts went up. It just unbelievable. A lot of hard work, a ton of fun, and I can't wait for next year. I mean, this is, I think, my favorite music festival on the planet right now. Heavy Montreal, so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've already announced next year it's going to be August 5th, 6th, and 7th. Of course, no bands have been announced yet, but I would personally love to see Slash on that stage. I think he would be
That would be, yeah.
fantastic. Oh, yeah, you know?
I agree. I agree. Absolutely.
And just to think, if we had a chance to stand side stage like we did for Iggy Pop or Lita Four, how cool would it be to stand side stage for Slash? I mean, one of the biggest names in rock, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, during the episode, not a lot of Guns N' Roses talk because listen, that's the past for Slash. So we do talk about the movie. We talk about making new music. We talk, of course, about the Thin Lizzy cover he did with Ace Frehley, the Kings
Oh,
of
cool.
Chaos. Yeah, lots of good stuff. And yes, if you stick around near the end of it, we do have a question about what he plans to do to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Appetite for Destruction album, which will be in 2017. And yes, Slash does offer an answer. Mark, I know you're a huge Guns N' Roses fan, Slash fan. Um, what do you think about
Absolutely.
all of this wonderful stuff? What do you think about him working, by the way, with Ace Frehley?
I mean, the Guns N' Roses stuff, we could speculate and hope and talk about that until the end of time.
Right.
But Slash, I think, is such an incredible guitar player. I think he really, at a time when that whole LA rock movement was kind of getting maybe lost or going too far. He kind of brought things back to reality with even just with his guitar playing alone, the plugging the Les Paul straight into the Marshall.
Mhm.
It wasn't, there wasn't the whammy stunts, the tapping, the 15 distortion and delay pedals and everything. He was a real kind of, in a way, back to basics guy. And there's nothing like his feel, as great as like the guys in Guns N' Roses are right now. There's just so much of Slash's personality that comes in across in his guitar playing that I really miss him on stage with Guns. And I love seeing him play live, because you do get to hear him revisit those Gun songs. And again, it's his personality that brought so much to those songs, even the ones he didn't write. It's his guitar playing. It speaks volumes on all of those GNR songs and Velvet Revolver songs, for that matter.
Yeah, by the way, we did talk about Velvet Revolver during the interview. I asked him, I said, look, straight up, Slash, is it an ongoing project or is it disbanded and it's over? Where are we? And he does answer that question. Very
Cool.
interestingly, I must say. Speaking of seeing him on stage, for me at least in Montreal, he'll be here September 24th as part of his current fall tour, or the upcoming fall tour, I should say. Mark, you're down in Jersey. Any Slash shows coming your way?
Yeah, actually, I should mention this because I am helping promote the festival officially. Slash will be appearing at the New Jersey Food Truck Festival. And if you say, what the heck is a food truck festival? It is actually, they're calling it the Food Truck and Rock Carnival Festival. Tons of bands, including Slash as one of the headliners, Godsmack, Stone Temple Pilots, Anthrax, who I believe we're going to be talking to shortly on Talking Metal. They're coming on to promote the festival. Lita Ford will be there, Faster Pussycat, Skillet, Puddle of Mud, Otherwise, Kicks, LA Guns, Slaughter. The list goes on and on. I can't. I don't have time to read the whole list right now. But Mitch, we should get you down here for this. This is going to be a great, great festival.
Yeah, I absolutely need to go see that. Remember, before we check out Slash, check me out at Mitch Lafon on Twitter. Mark is at Talking Metal on Twitter. I think we've made folks wait enough, right? Here
Yeah, let's do it.
is Slash.
Mitch, you're on the Slash.
Great. Hey, Slash, how's it going?
Hi, Mitch. What's happening?
Not much, not much. Just bunch of questions for you. You've got this new tour coming up that hits Montreal on September 24th at the Metropolis. But I want to start with something that's probably dearer to your heart. The Hell Within movie, which is a fan-backed production that you're involved with. Tell me a little bit about that project and why you're involved in movie making.
Okay, but what did you say? The backstory of the project?
No,
Is that
it's
what you meant?
the fan-backed project, right?
Yeah, but then you. Oh well, I mean, I started doing the horror thing. It was an opportunity that was given to me actually a few years ago,
Right.
probably 4 years ago. And I've always been a major horror fan, science fiction fan, ever since I was first discovered music. I think horror all happened at the same time, and and I had no aspirations to be a filmmaker or anything, but always been so uh, intuitive about how they're made, and always paying attention to the details and this, that, and the other, and storytelling, and I have a definite opinion about what's great and what's not great, and so on. And so I had a conversation with another producer back in 2000, I think it was 2011, and he said, you should produce, and I didn't think much of it, but he started sending me scripts. And I just started getting into it from there. And it really just sort of speaks to my nature, because I love taking something, making something from nothing. In other words, trying to find the components to get something to, and sort of the chase of getting it all together and making something happen. Anyway, so I did one movie, which was my first film, which was Nothing Left to Fear, which was a crash course in filmmaking. A movie that probably wouldn't have gotten made if it hadn't been for the sheer perseverance of myself and a couple other people involved, the director and whatnot. And so, but it was a great experience for me to sort of cut my teeth on making films. And so it just encouraged me more to do it. And so this is the next script that I got. Well, not the next script, but one of the scripts I got recently was The Hell Within, which was just a fantastic script and really a step up and a step in the right direction. So, and I thought the fan back thing would be great, because not even as a vehicle to make money, because the financing for the movie I've already pretty much got. It was just to be able to build a community, a sort of a built-in community of fans that for sort of slash fiction, which is all the movies that come out under that brand, and just have sort of I have a sort of relationship with music fans, so sort of build up the same kind of relationship with film fans. So they're in a nutshell.
When do you think it'll see the light of day?
Well, we're gonna shoot in January, February. So I think, if everything goes in a perfect world, we'll have it out the following summer. But we'll see. That would be the plan.
Live at the Roxy.
Nothing's totally predictable in independent filmmaking, as you might know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Live at the Roxy was the last sort of DVD live album by Slash with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. World on Fire came out 2014. When do you see yourself releasing another new Slash album?
Pretty soon, actually. We're in pre-production now. We went into pre-production as soon as the tour ended. I figure we should be in the studio in springtime, so we'll have a record out next year.
How much of a Slash album is Slash a band, or is it really just you and you say, listen, Brent, you're going to play this and this is the songs we're doing? How much of it is a band and how much is it just a solo project?
Well, it started out solely as a vehicle to support the first solo record I did in 2010,
Right.
which was like a bona fide solo project. And I needed to put something together to go out and tour. I have absolutely no reason to make records if I'm not going to tour.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I love touring. I make records because I like to make records, but it's a vehicle to be able to go out and play live. So I put a band together with a bunch of people that I never knew, I'd never met before. And it's funny because I always put records together with people from LA because I know everybody, and it's just, I guess there's sort of a comfort zone there.
Right.
And this particular time around, I was just like, I met Miles Kennedy, and when he signed on board, then I started looking for drummers, and I just happened to audition this guy that people recommended that I'd never met named Brett Fitz, and he introduced me to Todd. So we went out from the very get-go, from the first rehearsal, I had that kind of like real spontaneous magic that happens when you get together with a bunch of guys that everybody is just enjoying what they're doing and everybody's on the same page. But I didn't take that as a hint at that point. We just did a first show at the Roxy in LA and then took off on the road. And it was while we were on tour in 2010 that I started thinking, God, these guys are great. If I was going to make another record, I'd just do it with them. So we did the Apocalyptic Love record and went out on the road, and we just kept developing as a band naturally. So at this point, it's spearheaded by me, but at the same time, I very much treat it like a band. I'm a band guy. I don't think I could ever be one of those guys that hires people every time I go into the studio or go on tour. I really need to be in a band environment. I think that's how rock and roll works for me.
Yeah, it really does.
It's sort of the interaction between the guys.
And so if they have a song idea, or if they're not happy with something, a solo you've laid down, they can voice that opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I lean on those guys. I come in, I write stuff on the road, and I basically write with Miles.
Right.
And so we get, I get sort of the musical idea together, and he helps with that to sort of help with the vocal melody, and he gets his lyrics together. And I get together with Brent and Todd while Miles is doing Alter Bridge and start working out the arrangement and all that kind of shit. But if anybody has any suggestions or, it's just, I think they sort of trust me to get it going, but they sort of do their own thing within the context of whatever the material is.
Recently, you recorded a Thin Lizzy cover with Ace Frehley. Talk to me a little bit about working with Ace and what that was like. And were you a big fan of his? Because I know going back in older interviews, you've always talked about Alice Cooper being the band that you revered, not so much Kiss.
Well, what happened was I never liked Kiss.
Right.
But I always liked Ace. I wasn't a fan of Kiss, the entity, until sort of in the 80s when they all of a sudden took their makeup off and became sort of an 80s kind of thing. Then all of a sudden I started to really appreciate old Kiss, slowly but surely. And I've always thought Ace was cool. It was just sort of a natural kind of a thing. I not specifically for any reason. He always seemed cool to me. Yep. And so over the years, I've gotten to meet him and know him, and I've jammed with him a couple times, and he's just a great guy. And at this point, I have utmost respect for the Kiss material that Ace was involved in, that whole period in the 70s of Kiss. And sort of unfortunate that I missed that boat at the time, but I just couldn't get past the outfits, Anyway, but so Ace and I have been talking about recording on one of his records it's been a few years now. And he was here in LA, and I said, okay, we're going to do it this time. And so I went up to the studio where he was doing his overdubs, and we went in there, and he goes, okay, I'm not going to tell you what the song is until he announces it. But,
fair enough.
This is where the solo section is, and then I'm going to play, we're going to go back and forth. So you do a whole, however many bars the solo is, really long. And then I'll come in and I'll do a whole solo, and then we'll cut and paste back and forth. I was like, why don't we just do it live in the room? And that's how we ended up doing it. So it's really cool, and it's really impromptu.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's recorded straight off, basically 4 on the floor, as they say, right? The bass drum.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
So it's back and forth. It's really cool because like I'll play something, then he comes in and plays, and we're talking solo, so it's like how we would do it live.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait to hear that. You're Slash. You're this great guitarist that everybody knows. When you left the last band, did you ever give any thought, or did any bands approach you about joining them? I mean, did Alice Cooper ever say, "Hey, come be our guitarist"? And if so, why didn't you do that? Why always sort of stay as just a solo artist?
Well, for one, because I think there was a couple different artists that sort of had like an idea that maybe I could join up with them.
Hmm.
But it was a passing thought because ever since I left Guns N' Roses, I really have been my own sort of person, and I
Right,
don't think I've ever showed any interest to anybody in joining some of these bands.
right,
I've just been sort of going around, running around and jamming, sort of a slut,
right.
really,
But it
when
would
it
have
comes
been the
down to it.
easy thing just to sort of lock into some other band's thing and just go out on tour and get get your retainer and just say, hey,
Well, I mean, I was obviously in Guns for a really long time,
right,
and so, I mean, from the very beginning of my career all the way up until, 1996, I guess. So that was the development process. That was really one of my first ever bands. I was only in a couple bands before
right,
that. So, after that was over, I just wanted to do my own thing. I didn't even have any specific direction that I was going in. I think I was just sort of decompressing after all that huge, sort of Guns N' Roses reality.
right.
Just getting away from that, and I was just jamming around, and there was no band that I could think of that I would join, because from the '90s up until present, rock and roll has really taken a direction that's not really sort of, there's not one specific band that's doing something that I go, God, I want to do that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's there's a lot of bands that I like, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea as far as what I want to play. But there's a lot of musicians that I like jamming with and so on and so forth. So I'd rather just write my own stuff and put my own thing together, which I've sort of done on and off, but I didn't really get focused until after Velvet Revolver. And I really decided, okay, I need to do something. I think it took a little bit of sobriety to sort of get some semblance of direction. Prior to that, I was just partying.
Yeah. Corey Taylor, since you mentioned Velvet Revolver, recently said that he recorded 9 songs with the band. Is that something that you can see releasing, or is it, or can we just be honest? Velvet Revolver is sort of over, and that's it.
Well, Corey came in just like a lot of other guys came in,
Right.
except for Corey's Corey, and he's probably one of the best guys that
Oh,
out there.
he's great.
Um, yeah, I love Corey. I just thought it was a different style than what Velvet Revolver was, sort of trying to capture. But still, the songs are cool. But if we were going to do anything with that, they would have to be re-recorded and sort of, because I mean, it was very raw and very sort of making it up on the spot
Right.
kind of deal. And so we'd have to revisit everything and really put it together, I think. But I mean, that's not really sort of a plan. I'm just saying if
If
I
it
don't want
was,
to get any ideas in anybody's head, if that would be the only way that it could be released.
but for all
I'm not
intents
saying that's going to.
but for all intensive purposes, Velvet Revolver is something of the past. I mean, it's not really a current project.
Well, it's an active project. Let's put
Okay.
it that way.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's been a matter of trying to find, if the right guy to front that unit,
Okay.
and which is difficult because as we move down the road in the millennium, the style of rock singer is changing a lot, and what I think with the taste that Duff and Matt and Dave and I have for Velvet Revolver don't really cater to the sort of stylistic vocals that are happening as we move down the road from 2000. I think it was 8 was the last thing that we did.
That we did. Yeah.
2008 up into the present. It's I mean, I was really fortunate to find Miles, and
Agreed.
and we, I mean, it was really a great thing that we just sort of locked in. But yeah, trying to find a really genuine, honest rock and roll singer is getting few and farther between.
Now, we only had 15 minutes, so I just have two last questions. Just quickly, Kings of Chaos, is that sort of just a
Uh,
jam band, or is that something at some point you'd like to record with?
well, it's a jam band, and I'm not in it. I'm one of the many guest people that come up and play.
Okay.
Kings of Chaos really consists of Nat, Duff, Gilby, Billy Duffy, and Glenn Hughes.
Right.
And that's like the main band, or maybe even Billy Duffy is just a guest guy. I think Glenn Hughes, Gilby, Duff, and Matt is really the core band. And then we have, a half dozen different people jam. Every performance is a different bunch of people. So I've done it a few times, but there's no permanent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just comes together however it comes together.
And I'll finish with this because we're out of time. 2017 will be the 30th anniversary of Appetite for Destruction. Will you celebrate it in any way with an album tour or a special anything, supper with the family, or is it just it's going to be what it's going to be?
Well, we haven't really celebrated any. What do you call that?
Anniversaries up to now?
Well, anniversaries or I guess that's sort of a benchmark, or what do you call that?
Right, a benchmark, yeah.
Yeah. To date, so I don't see any reason why that trend would change, but who knows?
Okay. Slash, always a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing your show on September 24th in Montreal at the Metropolis. Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Montreal's always great and a big supporter of all the projects you've been in, from the Snake Pit to Slash to. It's going to be a fun
always
night.
Yeah, and always just an awesome crowd. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Slash.
So we'll see you. Maybe I'll meet you then.
Absolutely, you will. Thank you.
All right, dude. Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye now. There you have it, folks. My interview with Slash. Loved having Slash as a guest. A lot of great answers, and I'm sure that when you head over to mygunsandroses.com and all these places that have these message boards, it's going to make people chat and dissect and fodder for the fans for the next 6 months. So that'll be fun.
Very good.
Yeah,
good score, Mitch. Good score. Slash. Wow.
Yeah, Slash is great, and I'm looking forward to his live show at the Metropolis in Montreal. It is always a good time. Very energetic, and I know Miles Kennedy just finished a solo album, and he's got that going on, and Alter Bridge. But these guys together with Brent Fitz and so on, it just works. It's just a fun live show. So that'll be fun. And of course, there's a food and truck thing going on in Jersey. So.
Yeah, food truck and rock carnival. That's September 18th through the 20th in Oak Ridge Park in Clark, New Jersey. So Slash will be performing there. I will be there. I can't wait to be a part of that. Should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun.
And Mitch, I wanted to just remind your listeners that leaving reviews for the one-on-one podcast, which I know so many of you guys get the podcast through iTunes is such a good thing to do. It helps the visibility of the show. So please leave a review for One-on-One with Mitch Lafon on iTunes. You also can support Talking Metal Digital, which the podcast is a part of, by using our Amazon links on talkingmetal.com. They take you over to Amazon, and you can make all your purchases using, like you normally would on Amazon. It's just an extra step. Go to talkingmetal.com first, click through to Amazon.
Right, which is very important because, listen, it helps support the podcast, and it helps us bring interviews like Slash. And of course, next week, Jeff Tate is coming up, Randy from Lamb of God, Bob Kulick talking all about working with Kiss behind the scenes, Andy Summers of the Police, and all these interviews, coming your way. So yeah, head over to the Talking Metal and do that Amazon thing. Plus, who doesn't like getting stuff from Amazon? It's so exciting to open a mailbox and get the new Slash DVD live at the Roxy waiting for you, right?
Right on, Mitch.
There you go, Mark. Always a pleasure. We will see you soon, and we will definitely see you at Heavy Montreal 2016. 2015, a great success. Hopefully we'll also see Slash there next year, if not the year after. There you go, Mark.
Great. All right, Mitch. Thanks so
you,
much.
Sir. Cheers.